At least I think so. What do we got? Oh, yep, that's me. You can see me scratching my nose. Isn't that great? Okay. I got a window just for chat that's enormous. Good. In case I get any messages coming in, they should hopefully pop into my face. Okay, so... Oh, and am I recording? I think it just... let me just check my settings. Don't mind me. Oh, crikey. What am I looking at? Channel. Video producer. How about video producer? That seems to have useful settings. It says I'm broadcasting. I have a highlight that's going to expire. Okay, that's fantastic. Stream manager. How about that? Preview. Who even knows? What do we got? Oh, I don't know how any of this works. Well, this has been a pretty fantastic... Well, luckily nobody's watching yet, so it doesn't matter. What am I trying to figure out? How do I know if it's recording? This is terrible. Oh, I give up. Who even knows? So I don't even know anything. How does any of this work? And I gotta be very quiet because I don't want to... Preferences, how about that? Channel preferences. Oh, here we go. Yeah, store past broadcasts. Good. Okay. How do I know if anyone's actually watching? Why would anyone be watching? I mean, I told people that I would be doing this, and so they could be watching, but, like, that doesn't mean anything. Well, I don't even know. Where is... I blew up the font size way too much. Well, whatever. Okay, go back. There we go. I got my enormous chat thing so that I can see stuff. Great. Let's do testing. Oh, crikey. I'm not even logged in. Forget it. Whatever. I'm watching it anonymously on my other laptop. I'm watching myself, or sort of watching myself. Okay, go back to here. I'm live. Yeah, no shit. I knew that. Oh, it says 0 minutes in my session. Did I stop the session somehow? What's this say? No, I'm definitely streaming. I am definitely streaming. And it looks correct. Okay, well, great. Great. Oh, people are watching. Well, isn't that great? I can't actually... Well, I'll see what happens. Alright, what do we got? Okay, so this I took... This is design problem. I'll note this here. This is design problem number 10 from spring 2019, CS 142. So this is a problem written by a student. I actually don't know which student. I liked this problem because it sort of lent itself to some complexity. There's a couple things in here where well, you know, let's kind of go. I'd probably break this up into pieces. So many international travelers arrive at JFK International Airport each day. JFK is in New York. Okay, great. They can be foreigners or U.S. citizens. Okay, I would change this to they can be foreign nationals or U.S. Foreigners sounds like that's kind of a loaded term, you know, like in our current political climate. If you call somebody a foreigner, that sounds like it has a negative connotation. It doesn't have to, but I've heard it used that way. So I'm just going to change it: foreign national or U.S. citizens. Foreign nationals or U.S. citizens. I don't know why I'm correcting the grammar on this. What's with my own grammar? Who knows? Okay. In order to go through customs, there are certain qualities that they need to attain. Okay, good. For example, again, I'm just going to change this: foreign nationals must have a valid U.S. visa. Okay, that's one. And have either clean background. Okay, so they have to clear a background check. Or have committed a minor crime. So I'm just going to put a note here. Does that mean a misdemeanor? Misdemeanor. Oh my goodness, that is not even... Is that spelled right? Wait, does this do spell check? Misdemeanor. It does. I literally spelled that right in the first try. Somebody needs to get me a cookie. That was fantastic. Great. Okay. Committed a minor crime. So that's sort of a question that has already been explained. Okay. Both U.S. citizens and, again, don't mind me, foreign nationals need to not be bringing unknown substances or things that are prohibited into the country. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. If any of these qualities aren't met, the particular visitor won't be able to enter the U.S. Okay, so that's kind of our set of design goals here. That's what we're looking at. Now, I like some things about this. So we've got this notion of people who are arriving. So I'm already thinking about my class structure. So what does this need to look like? So basically what we're doing is just the customs part of this. So we don't need to do everything. So, what do we need? Well, we're going to be processing a bunch of people, and a traveler can either be a U.S. citizen or not a U.S. citizen, essentially. Now, there probably are different rules for, there's different rules for Canadians than there are for people from, I'm sure Canadians and Russians have different rules to enter the U.S. Canadians don't need a visa. I'm assuming Russian citizens do. I've been to, let me see, where have I? Well, I've been to Canada. You don't need a visa. You can have a U.S. passport. You can just go to Canada. I mean, right now you can't go anywhere because there's a pandemic. But back when you could travel, can you go to play? Whereas I went to India years ago, 15 years ago, for a vacation, not vacation. It was like a tour. It's like a tour group, and I needed to get a visa and apply in advance and this, that, and the other thing. Whereas I went to Peru, and I don't think we needed a visa for that. I don't know. So there probably are different rules, but this particular description of the problem doesn't really have that. The only issue is U.S. citizen or foreign national. So I will probably, I'm not going to use a Boolean here to make this just are you a U.S. citizen, true or false? The reason being, I can imagine this code, this particular code's not going to expand. This is just a one-off problem, but if I were building a system, I would just guess that it would expand, and eventually we would need to know, okay, foreign national from what country? Because there could be different rules for different countries. So in order, certain qualities that have to be attained. Okay, foreign nationals must have a valid U.S. visa. So do they have a visa or not? That's one of the questions. And then there's two possibilities here. They can have a clean background or have committed a minor crime. Now, what's interesting here from a design perspective, the visa is something that the visitor is bringing with them, right? Either they have the visa or not. Well, not really. I mean, there'll be a record of it. I guess what I'm trying to get at is I'm going to have a class that represents a traveler, a visitor. Do I want them to have... what stuff do I want to put in that class, and what stuff do I want to put on the custom side? And I don't know. I guess the visa, that could just be a lookup. We could look up the person's name and then figure out if they have a visa or not. And they either have to have a clean background or have committed a minor crime that has already been explained. So that could just be a true-false. It could just be a function that says, hey, are you okay? Is this person okay, yes or no? Then U.S. citizens, foreign nationals need to not be bringing unknown substances or things that are prohibited into the country. So this is definitely a property of the people, right? So, wow, there's 6 people watching this. This is amazing. Holy moly. Who's here? Let me know in the chat. I'm very interested in who is at 9:30 Chicago time is let's watch Spacko write code. All right, I know I've learned a lot about etiquette for video chatting, and apparently you're supposed to mute your mic if you're not using it, and then you're supposed to mute your video if you're eating or drinking. So watch me not do that again. I have to talk really quietly because the baby's sleeping in the next room and I don't want to wake her up. So far I haven't woken her up. The only time she woke up is when she had she needed her nose sucked. 7 months old can't blow their nose, so you have these little snot suckers and you have to go and then it sucks the snot out. It's kind of traumatic because the baby doesn't know why you're shoving this plastic thing up her nose, and then she like cries. But then if you do clean it out in there, she's like really excited. She's like, awesome. It's like, oh, that's much better, Dad. Yeah, thank you. Anyway, so this, what they're bringing, that's like a property of the person. Like we would put that on our class to represent a traveler. And then we have to kind of check all of this. So you need all of this to be true. Like, you can't have things on you you're not supposed to have. You have to have a visa and a clean background, or a background that's sort of okay. We can imagine this being a lookup, and other certain qualities that need to be attained. Okay, well let's kind of turn. So okay, let's think about what this is going to be. So first let's do, that didn't work at all. Yeah, new, also I'm learning, I don't really know. Okay, we'll call this, from the perspective of the system, we'll call it traveler. Oh, and I should decide to put this in a package. This is really sloppy to not have this in a package. Let me see how smart IntelliJ is. So if I say something like this, package, I'll just call it number 10. Does this know to fix it? It does not. What I was trying to figure out is if I did that, would it automatically stick it in a package up here? It did not. Can I edit this somehow? Reformat, optimize, blah, blah, blah. Convert to Kotlin. That'll be fun to play. I want to learn Kotlin. It's on my to-do list. I want to learn a lot of things. Do you know what I don't particularly want to learn that I really know I need to learn? New package. Oh, son of a biscuit. Okay, fine. I gotta think of a package name for this. New... where I just had it. Package. There we go. What are we gonna call this? Oh, wow, we got somebody here. Akriti is here. Did I say it right? Wait. Akriti. I'll keep practicing. And you're Baked Fries 666. That is a sweet name. Baked Fries 666. So like 666. That's clearly... I'm going to totally make a dated reference here, and you're going to be like, wow, you're old. Clearly 666. That's got to be an Iron Maiden reference from, the 80s. 666, the number of the beast. That was like a big thing in the 80s. People were all about Satan in the 80s. Oh my God. There's actually a podcast episode I need to listen to on 20,000 Hertz, which is a podcast about sound and sound design. I think it's on 20,000 Hertz, all about the satanic panic of the 1980s. Like, everybody was all about satanic cults in the 80s. Now, there weren't really that many satanic cults, or really any satanic cults, but everyone was so paranoid about this, corrupting the children or whatever, that they were, like, everyone's like, oh my God, these kids are playing Dungeons and Dragons, they're gonna, like, worship the devil now. And so this was like a legit thing that people were very worried about. I'm gonna call this number 10 because this is design problem number 10. That's a stupid package name, but I want to get this done at some point. I'm gonna move this in there. I'm just gonna hit enter and hope it does the right thing. Hey, it did. There's a great documentary called Hail Satan. Holy moly, you can't see me switching windows, but I'm absolutely looking that up. Documentary, Hail Satan. Oh my God, it's on Hulu. And we have Hulu. In the battle for justice and equality, the Satanic Temple is putting up a hell of a fight the devil's work has never done. That sounds really cool. Fascinating documentary about ragtag political activists making fundamentally serious mockery at a high level of media savvy. Okay, I'm totally in. I'm going to be watching that. That's what I'm going to be doing at some point. Okay, anyway, back to some computer science. So I've made let me show you something else cool about this. So there's different views of things. So this is the project view. And so if you notice for IntelliJ, it's got this .idea with all these XML configuration files in it. And then it's got, this isn't a thing literally in there. This is just letting you know, like, hey, you're using Java 10. This is the, path to Java 10. Scratches and consoles, this is a placeholder. Like, a scratch would be like, you just want to, like, plop some code in real quick. And you can totally do that. This is, I don't even know what this is. Oh, this is we can look at it. It's an XML file that's, like, meta information describing everything. And so Eclipse has a version of this kind of stuff as well. Every IDE is going to have this. This is like configuration meta information. But sometimes when you're coding, you don't necessarily want to see this. So this has a view called packages. That throws all that out. Now it's just showing you like your code and your libraries. Oh my god. Wow. Holy moly. Well, I mean, here's how to read this. Like, these are Apple-specific libraries, but mainly this is just all your Java libraries. So these are all your Java packages. So if you import Java dot, util dot something, that's literally, some code like abstract java.util.abstract collection. That's literally just like a giant jar file with code in it. So the Java libraries, like the API, that's just what it is. It's just a big jar file that gets included with Java. Okay, Traveler. So what do I need to know about Traveler? I need to know where the Traveler is from. That's like a major thing that I'm looking for. So I'm going to represent that. Watch this. I'm going to say new. Watch this. I'm going to use an enum. Literally none of these say enum. Well, that's disappointing. Huh. Whatever. It's... Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's an HCI issue. If you go into the package and I say new, and I say Java class, it then prompts me like, did you want a class, interface, enum, annotation, or a Java FX application? I actually want an enum. And I'm going to call this... What am I going to call this? It's like country of origin, citizenship... I don't have a good name for it. I'm just going to call it country, maybe-ish. I don't know. And I'm going to do that thing that annoys people where I put USA first, even though it should... like when you're filling out some form and it asks for citizenship, and so you click the drop-down, right? And, like, normally, like Afghanistan will be first or something like that if it's alphabetical, but sometimes they stick like the United States and maybe Canada first. It's sort of like in how ethnocentric are you, in that you assume everyone filling out your form will be from the U.S., and some, you click it and you're like, oh, U.S. isn't first, and you got to like either like scroll to get to like the United States or the United States, I'm going to be that guy that puts USA first here because, that's really, really who I am. And then, I don't need that many other countries because for testing this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a method that just says like, hey, are you a U.S. citizen or not? So I'm going to say like, you can also be from, I don't know, Canada. Oh, I'll use countries that a lot of our students are from. I'm going through my mental checklist of where Knox students seem to be from. We had a couple students from Spain. That's probably good. So it's like people that... Oh, that's not what I want to do. I keep trying to save. I have this set for Eclipse key bindings, which is really fun for me, because I used Emacs key bindings, but it doesn't quite... Like, how do I save? Watch this. Edit. Save. Where's save? Hello? Maybe it's under file? What? There's a lot of... Honest to goodness. I'm sure I'm looking right at it, but this is a lot of... How do I... This is insane. How is it this... Remember how I said IntelliJ is so much better than Eclipse? I'm not sure. Maybe. But there's things about this I don't really like. What? I just want to save. Save all. Okay. Control X? That's weird. Well, maybe I'll just try that. Control X. Did that save? I don't even know. No, it didn't. Control G. I don't see. I have it. Maybe I shouldn't be. Well, I'm going to use Eclipse key bindings, and nobody can stop me. I have no idea if that saved. That's weird. Maybe it saves all the time. Who knows? So an enum is. I'll just show you. Like, sometimes you'll see stuff like this in Java, like public static final int. Wow, we're just gonna do that now, aren't we? Okay, there we go. Final int, USA equal 1, and then public static final int, Canada equal 2, and so on. And then, like, you're basically, and so public static, the static means there's only one of these, and all instances of Traveler share it, so it's basically a constant. And then the final means once you assign it, and it assigns it right here, And this isn't even in a constructor. This is what's called at static initialization. So this is like when the class gets loaded. So the first time anybody touches Traveler for a particular run of the program, it immediately assigns this value 1, and then you can never change it. So this is often a way you'll see, and sometimes people use string instead of int, but this is the way you'll see people do constants before enums. The challenge with doing it this way is the type here is actually int. So suppose there's only 2 countries we care about, the USA and Canada, and we want to pass the concept to a method of nationality. What type would that be? Well, it would be type int. Well, what are some other valid ints? Well, this is 2 values, but there's approximately 4 billion others, like literally 4 billion. Ints are 2 to the 32 bits. That's about negative 2 billion to positive 2 billion. So there's like 2 correct values and 4 billion minus 2 incorrect values, which isn't really what we want. So nowadays, you can use an enum. So this is, it's a enum, not a class. So it's like country.usa. That's a particular value. So what we can do here is we can say private, country nationality. Right, so this variable nationality, what type is it? It's of type country. That's an enum. This is a new type. Enum is short for enumerated data type. Enumerated mean I'm going to enumerate all the possibilities. And so what this means is these are the only values that this is allowed to have. It can't have other values. Those are the only values you're going to be able to get. So that's the nationality. We also need, if we remember from our thing here, a bunch of goods. Like what stuff do we have with us? I don't really know how to represent that. I mean, we need to cut off our level of abstraction at some point. We can't like implement a complete set of classes that could represent all the possible luggage you could have with you. So I think I'm gonna hack this and I don't know. We'll see. Let's do. You can have, and let's do something like this: private list of suitcase or suitcase, maybe. Bags equal new. Linked list of suitcase. I don't know if this is the right. And then of course I need to make a class for suitcase. Okay. And this is where I'm going to get really kind of flippant. Suitcase. What if I just say suitcase? Oh, it figures out that it should be .java. Oh, fantastic. So what is this? So watch this. Private Boolean contraband. And so the only method I need is public Boolean contains contraband, and this just returns contraband. Contraband just means like prohibited goods that you're not supposed to have. A lot of people probably know that, but I know our class has a lot of non-native English speakers, and like contraband's not a word you just like run into all the time. I probably also want a constructor, public suitcase, and I'll say Boolean contraband, and I'll say this dot contraband equal. Oh yeah, I like that, how it just auto completes nicely for me. Oh, that's nice. Okay, good. So back to Traveler. Oh, I need to import these. Let's see. Hover. Yeah, just import Java util. That's the one I want. Linked list. Oh, this is kind of nice. Import. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, I take it back, IntelliJ. You're nice. You are definitely nice. Let's see if anybody's still watching. There's 5 viewers. Well, I lost 1. That's okay. This has been pretty boring so far. But there are people here. Feel free to fire off in the chat. There's not that many people here. So if you've got questions or wanna, anything, or if you just have me on the background because of my soothing voice, maybe I'm helping people sleep. Oh, I could tell a bedtime story. I've been telling little Phoebe bedtime stories based on a Minecraft series that we watched back in the day. I say we, not her. Hoyt and I, where I like took the YouTubers and turned them into them and their Minecraft characters into characters in this whole interconnected world of stories. It's been really fun for me, and Phoebe doesn't really know language yet, so it's fun for her in that she gets to hear Dad talking. So that's been nice. Okay, so we got nationality, we got a bunch of bags. Probably what else do we need with travelers? Private string name. We need a name. We need to also be able to create travelers. Now, For creating travelers, I'm just going to create a traveler with a name and a nationality and then provide a method for adding bags one at a time. Because, the same traveler might make multiple trips, and in one trip they might only take one bag, but on another trip they might take 5 bags, right? So a traveler can have bags, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense to make a precondition of the constructor that you must specify at the time of creating the concept of somebody traveling. You need to know exactly how many bags they're going to have. Like maybe you could, present different bags. You could do it either way. You could also say, well, your concept of a traveler is different. So like if I take one trip, I'm a traveler, I'll just create a new instance with name, nationality, and bags. And then if I take another trip, well, that's probably a different trip. It's on a different day. It's probably a different system. You could do it either way. I'm going to do it, this way. I'm going to say string name and country, nationality, and then I'm going to assign these this dot name equal name, this dot nationality equal nationality, Shazam. Okay. And then I'm going to provide a method public void add bag. I should call it add suitcase. Suitcase. Oh, did you see how it knew to do that? That was cool. And I'll say this dot bags dot add suitcase. Oh, wow. Actually, IntelliJ is kind of smart. I'm coming around on IntelliJ. Oh, look at that. That was cool. Sweet. Okay, so we got country, suitcase, and traveler. Now, this is everything I think I need on the traveler side. Let me look back at the description. Right, and so the notion of, like, do they have a visa or not? I guess I don't really... So you can tell I'm American, I don't travel that often. There's multiple ways to think about the visa. There's like a physical document you have and you show up and you're like, here's my visa, but I'm assuming there's some record that like the US State Department has issued a visa to so-and-so. So like theoretically there's some database it could be looked up in. Both of those have pros and cons. If there's some sort of database, there can be like, what if the system's down? What do? Do you just not let anyone into the country that day? How many different agencies are able to like the State Department in Nairobi, like how quickly are they able to update it compared to the State Department in Montreal or whatever, or Montreal's not the capital of Canada, Ottawa. I don't know. I don't really know. So but then of course if you just have the physical piece of paper, that's easier to forge. So how do we want to do this? I mean, there's some some decisions here, both kind of policy decisions if you were building out a system for U.S. Customs, but then there's also like what level of abstraction do we want to go for? I'm going to do it. I'm going to make the decision to have the visas be granted on the customs side and have it be a lookup. So basically, do you have a visa? I'm going to make a lookup and then look up your background and your criminal history. I'm going to make that a lookup on the custom side. And so here's the next interesting question. How do I do this? What do I want this to be? One way to do this would be, I'll show you two ways, right? Because I'm recording this in case... I've still got 5 viewers. I can't really drive people off. This is great. Okay. Here's one way I'm going to do it. I'll call this Customs 1. So one way to do it would be something like public static final has visa, which takes a traveler, and it would be nice to... Shit, that's not what I wanted to do. What in the hell? Right. Public static final boolean. Right, so it's basically a static method. And then I'd do something like, if, and I'll have like some lookup, I mean, it'll basic... Oh, son of a biscuit. Nope, undo. Oh, and of course, it doesn't undo... Oh, that's not what I wanted. How do I undo? Undo is... What is that? Control minus? Or is that control shift minus? Let's try control minus. That definitely wasn't it. Shift Control minus. Nope. Control Shift minus. No. What in the hell? Undo. This is Control. Is it up arrow? It can't literally be up arrow. Maybe it's up arrow. Let me think. Control up arrow minus. Control up arrow. No. What? Control minus? Shift minus? No, that just is an underscore. Control Z. Yeah, but this is not... Control Z is actually just going to the top. Because I have the... Son of a biscuit. And this doesn't do it either. That is so weird. What? Undo backspace. Oh, well, that isn't what I wanted. Well, okay, fine. I'll figure it out. Okay, so if... Yeah, so it'll be something like this. I'll have like a, you know, private, static... I'll probably make it a set of people that have a visa. Set of travelers. You know, visas equal new hash set. And right, I got to import this. So import, good. Yeah, and I love this about Java 10, that you just put the brackets. You don't have to like repeat the type over here unless it's something different. I like that. So it'd say something like if visas dot contains traveler. Now there's something we're going to have to do to make traveler look upable, which is like, I'll show you what it is. So what am I doing actually? Such a ding dong. Watch this. Return visas dot contains traveler, right? Because either it contains it or it doesn't. So do you have a visa? Yes or no? That'd be one way to do it. And then we would need a way to like add people to this visas, which would be another static thing. So we'd do like public static void, you know, I'll call it grant visa to traveler. And that would be something like visas dot add. But now this is complicated. We've just added some complexity. So I'll put some notes in here. So problem number 1. Travelers know about their bags, about their suitcases. But, you know, the State Department does not care about suitcases when granting visas, right? So does that make sense? Like if we're like, okay, grant a visa to this traveler. Well, are we really granting it to the traveler? We're really granting it to the person. You know, they might use the visa twice or something like that. So that is something that we got to kind of think about. You know, how are we gonna fix that? I'm not sure. Probably we might need to separate out the notion of somebody's identity from their identity as a traveler. Now, there is a way to do that, which I will show you in a moment. So I'll just put that as like a to-do, you know, separate, or actually it's not really separate, it's really more refactor. Wow, I can't spell at all. Refactor traveler into, you know, entity with bags, not bads, bags, and the actual person. Okay, so that's fun. So that's customs 1. This would be one way to do it. Now, what makes this a little sloppy is it's all static. So if we have like a you know, I'll call this you know, main 1. And if we have inside here public static void main string blip args, you know, what is and we're like, okay, let's make a traveler, you know, t1 equal new traveler, you know, I don't know, you know, Alicia, and what else do we need to know? We need to know name and something else. Oh, nationality. Oh yeah, country dot, you know, Alicia's from the USA. And then we have, you know, traveler T2 equal new traveler. And the name here is, well, I always do Alicia and Bob. And Bob, everybody knows he is from, wow, we're just gonna, there we go. Bob is from Pakistan. I don't think Bob is a common name in Pakistan, but, you know, we'll just go with it. Now, if we want to grant a visa, what we have to do is do, you know, customs1 dot grant visa to T1. Right, it's a static method. So, like, what we're doing here is we're saying, you know, in this class, there's this static method. So, you know, go ahead and call it. And then that's going to go and, like, update, you know, this stuff over here, this static variable. So, like, we can do that. It's debatable that this is good object-oriented design because it's not really object-oriented. We're not creating instances of customs. Do we need instances of customs? Maybe, maybe not. It kind of depends. This is way beyond scope of what we're going to be doing for this example, but one of the questions would be, okay, I've got customs. Do I have a different instance of customs for different airports, or is it just all shared across all airports? And if it is, then what does that look like? You know, maybe I want to have different instances of customs from different airports. Do I want to be able to, like, create customs with its list of visas and then save those list of visas to a file, close the computer down, and then when I open it up, it just reads all those visas out of a file? It's not that you can't do that with static methods. You can. There's a thing in Java called a static initializer. I mean, I can show it to you. It's a bit of a hack. It looks like this. This is like the static constructor. So you could do stuff like this, and then this, and then, you know, that. And then you could do, like, okay, visas dot, you know, grant. Is it not called grant? No, it's not called grant visa. It's just, oh, you could just do, you know, grant visa to some traveler. And I'll do it, you know, what we would do here, like to do, you know, read visas out of it'd be something like read travelers out of a file. Now, how would you read travelers out of a file? And I'll say, and grant them visas. You know, the file could just contain, like, name and country of nationality, or like name, passport number. Oh, that's another thing we probably need is passport number. Name, passport number, country of, you know, of nationality, or something like that. We could read that out of a file and sort of grant everything. There are ways of taking like actual Java instances of classes and, like, writing it to a file. It's called serialization or marshalling. We're probably not going to do that. So, you know, we could do stuff like this, but again, it's a little sloppy because we're doing everything static. It's not that we can't do everything static, but there might be, you know, a better or a different way. So the other way that there we go. Other way that I could do this is I'll call this customs 2. I could do it not static, right? So this would be a class. So now I would do, you know, private set of traveler, and I would call this visas equal new. I'll probably do hash set. Right, and now I could do public void, that's not all what I wanted, grant visa to a traveler T, and I could say, you know, this dot visas dot add T. Great. You know, and then I could say public boolean has visa traveler T, not R. Why did I do R? That's not the right letter. And I could do return visas dot contains T. You know, I could do, what is this complaining about? Introduce local variable? I don't need a local variable. All this is fine. So I could do something like this. So what would this look like? Okay, well, I could do Java class. I'll call it main2. Public static void main string args. And then what am I doing? Right, I would, you know what, I'm just going to copy paste from main1. It's going to, copy. That does look reasonable. And paste I know is Control Y. Yeah, so now, but we're not, this is not customs 1. Well, here's what this is going to look like. We would say something like customs 2 equal new customs 2. And now we would say, oh, I need to give it a name. Ah, no, undo. Oh, Jesus Christ. Control Z? No. God damn it. Literally, I don't know what that means. Control minus. Control. No. Shift control minus. Did that literally do it? Oh, maybe it is shift control. That's so friggin' weird. Ah, son of a biscuit. Okay. Nope. Nope. Customs 2 equal... No, I need to give it a name. Customs equal new. Customs 2. Nope. Yep. Customs dot grant visa to T1. So I could do this. And so now this is the more kind of object oriented. I'm not using static. What did I break in here? Oh, it was supposed to go in here. Well, that was dumb. Oh, I broke this now. Well, what is it? Minus? That's such a weird way to do things. What? No, I don't want to... Oh, son of a biscuit. Customs 1 dot grant... Yeah, whatever. Customs 2. I should have copy pasted this. What is wrong with me? I haven't even... And then this would be... and... Great. Look at that. Is anyone still watching? More people are watching. Wow. Could I be more boring? Maybe I can. Okay, so this is a little bit more kind of object-oriented because you know, we've got this as a class, and so we can always add more functionality to the class and whatever else. So I'm liking customs 2. This is my first instinct would be, you know, for how to do this. Now we still have this problem with travelers that we just ran into, travelers and suitcases. So, well, we have, okay, at this point we have two problems. One problem is we're trying to, okay, so, well, people in the chat, do you know about the differences between Hashcode and equals and using hash sets and things like that for Hashcode and equals? Let's fire away and let us know what's going on with that. Oh, one of these viewers is me on my other laptop, so really there's only 5 viewers. Okay. Akriti is like, nope. Okay. I'm going to make a separate package for this. New... How do I not know how to make a new package? Am I not seeing the word package? Is it a new module? Oh god, no. Whatever that did, go away. Never show me that again. Did you see how much stuff there was? Okay, and Edna Adele. I knew who Edna Adele was, because Edna Adele was on the last stream. That might be Emily. I don't know. Okay, so a couple people don't know, so that means this is good. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to do new. This lets me do a new package. Wow, okay, well, there's things I don't understand about IntelliJ. I'll call this Hashcode. And then I'll go back to here. Okay, so watch this. Hashcode. New Java class. I'm just going to create, well, okay, let's just stick true to form here. Ninja. String name, private string name, and private int honor. Because we all know ninjas have a name and an honor. See, I did remember. It's Emily. Edna Adele. That's probably like a famous literary reference that I don't get because of my uncouth lack of literary knowledge, which is totally untrue. I was an English major. So if you're wondering, like, Spacco, you're a computer science professor, and you know some amount of stuff about computer science, but you don't seem to know any math. Yeah, that's because I took literature courses in undergrad instead of math courses, which I do not regret. There are times when it's embarrassing that I don't know statistics, but, I don't regret it. I liked reading, and name equal n, this dot honor equal h. Okay, good. So we got that. Now I'll just stick a main method in here. Public static void main string blip blip args. Okay, wow, stream is going on forever. Well, all 5 people are entertained, so that's good. Well, it's not like anyone. This is a freaking pandemic. I was thinking about this. So, like, we're doing class on Friday, which is an hour later. So it's like Friday afternoon, and I'm thinking, well, no one's going to want to come to class on a Friday afternoon. But then I'm like, well, what else? What else are they gonna do? It's not like they're like blow drying their hair to go out to the club. It's like, you know, Club COVID or something like that. Nobody's going out on Friday night. Like, Friday night's just like any other night. You know, and it's like, who has to get up in the morning? Like, I have to get up because of the baby, but like, you could sleep and be up. You know, who knows? Okay. Anyway, watch this. Ninja n1 equal new ninja. So this is, of course, Alicia, who has 100 honor, and then we'll say ninja n2 equal new ninja, and this is Bob, who has, you know, 99 honor. This is a cool thing that this does. It kind of lets you know the parameter names. Like, this isn't a character that's typed, it's just sort of like an IntelliJ thing. I bet if I change this to name... Oh, shit. That's cool. And honor. That's actually really cool. It gives you these little... These are like editor clues. This isn't typed... This, like, isn't text. Like, you can't... That's not typed there. That's pretty cool. Okay, watch this. System.out.println n1 equal n2. So what should this print? Well, I'll do a couple of them. Wow, that's very poor spelling, Spacco. My top 10 Intel. Oh, and Michelle's here too. Wow. Oh, this is so exciting. Yeah, IntelliJ, I'm kind of digging it. I'm not gonna lie. So, okay, I'm gonna run this. Assuming that I know actually how to do that. Run main. And I think it pops up a thing down here, maybe. It's building. What do we got? Oh, it's got a... What? Oh, yeah. What do you know? Okay, wait, hold on. How did I miss that, though? Is this... Why was this not... Like, I saw it up here out of the corner of my eye, but, like, why is it not yelling at me more strongly here? It's yelling at me over here. Okay, well, you know, it's all good. We're learning IntelliJ. We're learning together. And then now the run button's just up here. Look at that. Shazam. Okay, so we're running this, or at least we're trying to. Yeah, these are both false. So you knew this one would be false because these are different references. These are references to physically different objects because we called two constructors. That's two different things. This one's also false. And you're like, huh, why is that false? These should be the same. Well, sorry, these should... Of course these are false. Never mind. Of course both should be false. Damn it. Oh, Spacco. What is wrong with you? Watch this. Ninja N3 is new ninja. This ninja is also going to be named Alicia and have 100 honor. Okay, now... Nope, I can't type the number 3. Watch this. Let's see what happens. Yeah, these are all false. And you're like, well, Spacco, I expected this to be false because, duh, they're different. They're references to different physical objects. I expected this to be false because, you know, these two things are different. This one, even though they're two different instances, I expected them to be true, but they're not. Why not? Here's why. We didn't override equals. We have to actually override equals. If we don't override equals, you get the default of equals, which... you can't see me looking any of this up, but Java implement... I'll implement... Oh, wait. Okay. I think object O equal new object, and then O dot equals O. And then how do I open up, okay, new, in Eclipse it's F3. How do I go to navigation bar, declaration? I just want the code. Go to the implementation. Oh my god, I don't want the inheritors. No. Nope. I want to F3 it. Maybe it just F3s it. Maybe it's just... Nope, that isn't it at all. What I'm trying to do is tell it, show me this, like, called on itself. Yeah, okay, fine. I want to, like, tell IntelliJ to just literally get... Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I know, but just literally get me the code. Find uses, no. Refactor, no. Folding, analyze, go to. That's what I want to go to. Declaration. Yeah, I want the declaration. Yeah, okay, good. This is what I wanted. So one of the cool things about these editors, these IDEs, like Eclipse and IntelliJ, is they actually have the source code for all of the Java libraries. So what I just did is said, like, okay, here I just randomly created an object, and I was like, give me object. Because remember, Ninja doesn't declare that it extends anything, which means by default it extends object. Object is the root of every other reference type, basically everything that isn't one of the like dozen primitive types in Java. So if you don't declare that you extend something, you implicitly extend object, which means you inherit all of object's methods. So we've inherited the equals method. Well, this is what it looks like. So if I call equals on any object that doesn't provide its own equals method, object, what do I get back? Well, it just returned this equal object. It's literally just doing equal. So if you don't provide a dot equals method, you just get equal. Which is, an interesting fact. Now, why is this important? How does this relate to Hashcode? Well, let's look at, how do I search for Hashcode? Nope. Wow, this is taking, yeah, there we go. Oh, wow, Hashcode is a native method. The native here means it's implemented in C. And this is an annotation, hotspot intrinsic candidate. Basically, this means that hashcodes by default are based on, like, native just means it's C code. So that means it's calling something from inside the virtual machine itself. So basically, my assumption is that hash codes are just based on like where the object is located in the heap, although garbage collectors tend to copy things around, so there must be some extra level of indirection. Anyway, why does this matter? Well, hash code and equals are related. The way a set, any hashing data structure, hash set or Hashmap, works, when you say like, hey, I want to apply a hash function, the hash function is really just a hashcode method. So it comes up with some value. These two things, even though they look the same, are different instances. Let's see what their hash codes are. And we can just do that by doing n1 and just calling its hash code. And then we can do system... Can I do SOP? No. Can I do s.o.p? No. Can I do print line? No. Can I do... Nope. How do I... Isn't there like a... Oh, sysout. Sysout. No? I literally am gonna have to type it like a schlub here. Well, at least it mostly auto-completes. I'm gonna do n3.hashcode. Nope, that is not in any way what I wanted. Hash code. Oh, that's because there isn't anything named h3. It turns out you have to learn how to type. Well, who knows? Okay, let's run this now. Oh, and then this can go because we don't actually need that anymore. Boom. What do we got? God, we need... Yeah, look at this. These are the hash codes, which are just integers. They're different, and they're extremely different. So what that means is, even though these things sort of look the same, they have different hash codes. So if you put these in a set, what does the set do? Well, it applies the hash function, and it puts it into a particular bucket. But the bucket locations are going to be physically different locations for these two things, unless like the particular size and you do the modding and you happen to get a hash collision. But what happens if you get a hash collision? S out, Control J. Ah, thank you, Michelle. Oh, yeah. Oh, blessed shortcuts. I was joking last time that I did Twitch that I just like when students are doing, no, it wasn't on Twitch, it was on Slack, but same thing. Not actually not the same thing. They're completely different. I was joking that like one of the most intimidating things is when students are doing command line and they don't know how to hit tab to like complete file names and commands and stuff, and they're typing everything out, especially on Windows where there's like really like C:// and I'm just like sitting there going like hit tab, hit tab, hit tab. It's just like watching people waste moments of their life when they could just hit tab. Just like for some reason I can't handle that. Like I'm very patient with a lot of things that students are learning because like this stuff is hard and you have to learn it, but like for some reason that one I'm just like, you're wasting moments of your life you could do other things with, hit the tab key. Anyway, so I love shortcuts. Oh god, that's so good. Okay, so these have different hash codes. So if what we want is to be able to recognize like, hey, these two travelers are the same, they need to have the same hash code, and the equals method needs to think they're the same. Because suppose we just override hash code so that n1 and n3 have the same hash code, but we don't override equals. What does that mean? Well, these two instances will hash to the same bucket, but when you hash to the same bucket, what does Java have to do? Well, it has to be like, okay, are these two different instances, or was it a hash collision? Right? Because it's possible for two different instances to have the same hash code. That's just a fact of life, because you have a fixed space and you apply a hash function, you get these numbers, you mod them by whatever the size of your array for your hash structure is, and you stick it into the bucket. So two things can hash to the same bucket. Then you either rehash them with a different hash function, or you chain them and create a short linked list at that location. So let's assume we're doing chaining. So how do we know if this is literally the same instance? And with a set, you can't have duplicates. So if you put something in a set and put the exact same instance in again, well, who cares? It was already there. Whereas if you put something in that has the same hash code but it's different, the dot equals method says it's different, then it needs to chain it, right? Or rehash it or something like that, because that means you've put two different things in that happen to have the same hash code. So for Java to recognize n1 and n3 as the same ninja, we have to override both the hashcode method and the equals method. If we just do one and not the other, we're vulnerable to issues. If we just do hashcode and not equals, well, what that means is, they'll hash to the same bucket, but the equals method won't know that they're the same, right? So we put the same instance into the same hash set twice, but the size will think it's 2. If we do equals but not hashcode, we'll have two things where dot equals thinks they're the same, but they have different hash codes, so they don't hash to the same bucket, so the hash table never realizes they're the same. So we have to do both of them. So our issue with... sorry, that was a long diatribe there. So coming back here to customs 2, what does that mean for us? Well, if we're going to be putting stuff into this hash set, right, traveler, this isn't going to... we need to recognize that, like, we don't want to grant 57 visas to one traveler and have it just sort of show up in there. So we need some way to tell traveler, like, hey, guess what, dear friend traveler, this traveler is the same each time. So there's different ways we can do that, which is what I'm getting at. So anyway, this was a really good opportunity to explain the important relationship between the hashcode and the equals method. And I should mention, this is true of Java, but it's actually true of basically all object-oriented languages. There's this relationship between hashcode and equals. So it's going to be true of C#. I have no idea about C++. I don't really do a lot of C++. I'm assuming it's true of C++, but I don't know. You can probably do some bizarre... I have no idea. It's true of C#. It's going to be true of even things like Python and Ruby, although the JVM provides a lot more support. Really, any typed object-oriented language at some level is going to have this issue. Okay, I'll move you over here, Ninja. So anyway, in what other context would this hashcode method be useful? Wait, what do you mean by this hashcode method? You mean like this being called on hashcode method? I'm not understanding the syntax. Let me think. This, in what other context would... is that like a method call? This hashcode method be useful? I'll continue on and then see what other... Oh, also, like, you can... I should have, like... You can also just throw questions into the Slack. Let's do this. Because the Slack will be more real-time. Oh, no, but I can't see the Slack. Oh, no, I can. It'll pop up on my screen. Whatever you explained right now, basically. Oh, right. Okay. What other context would this be useful? Okay. Well, it's anytime you write your own class, if that class is going to be put into a hashing data structure, you have to override both hashcode and equals. Because if you don't, it's not going to work correctly with any hashing data structure. And if you override hashcode, you have to do equals, and if you do equals, you have to do hashcode. Because if you do one and not the other, you're vulnerable to errors. And if you do neither of them, you're also vulnerable to errors, because it's not possible for any two instances to be considered the same, even if the values of all their instance variables are identical. So, for example, n1 and n3, these are physically different instances, but they have the same all their instance variables have the same value. Oh, meant hashcode in the hash function. Ah, you meant hashcode in the hash function. Okay. This hashcode method be useful. So hashcode and the hash function. So basically here's what we can do. I'll show you this on Ninja. So now if we want this to work correctly, we need to override hashcode and equals. We could just do that by hand, but I'm going to bet that this will do it for us. And I can probably do override... Go generate. Yeah, I'll go to generate. Construct. Yeah, equals and hashcode. Right. It always will do both. And if we tell it to do this, we don't particularly need any of this. Wow. And then we want to say include both of these, because what we're saying here, this is just saying how do you want to handle subclasses. I'm not going to get into subclasses right now. I could get into it later. And then this is saying, like, do you want to literally use the instance variables or use their getter methods? That's important because by using getter methods, like get and set methods, instead of direct access to the instance variables, it gives you an extra level of indirection. So you could like check for null, or maybe some of the things are not real instance variables, they're sort of virtual variables. And what I mean by that is you have a method that, adds up the value of a bunch of instance variables and then returns that or something like that. That wasn't a great example. Anyway, I'm going to skip over these things and just have it use the things. And what I'm saying here is like, okay, the identity of this object is based on both of these things. If two ninjas could be the same by having the same name but different honors, if that was still the same ninja. Oh, you can't see system dialogues in any of the drop-downs. Son of a biscuit. So you can't see any of this. Well, anyway, I'll just go ahead and select all non-null fields. I'll just go ahead, boom, there we go. So you couldn't see any of the drop-downs. Sorry about that. That's a weakness of my approach here. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to generate the methods. And so you can see there's this hash method inside objects. Wow, that's really cool. That's new. Huh. Cool. So you can see the equals method is saying, okay, for a ninja to be equal some other object. And we have to put object here, not ninja, in order to get the override correctly. Because remember, this is object-oriented programming. So we could do stuff like this. Object 01 equal, new ninja, Alicia, 100. Right? And so now if we say o1 dot equals n1, what method do we mean here? Do we want the equals method in object, or do we want the equals method in ninja? Well, clearly we want the equals method in ninja, because even though the reference type here is object, the actual type is ninja. And this always works in any object-oriented language. References of a base type can always point to instances of a derived type. But if you don't do this correctly, if you put ninja here instead of object, this will not call the equals method of Ninja, it'll call the one of object, which remember is just equal equal, and so that's not really at all what we're going to want. Wow, everyone's still watching. This is fantastic. Cool. So that's why we put object here. And then this is just like, okay, well, if this equal else, or if they're equal, that's the quickest thing to check. Just immediately return true. Otherwise, if O is null, in other words, we have some instance and we're comparing it to null, or the classes are different, right? In other words, get class, so this dot get class is not the same as O dot get class. Get class just returns, how do I make this pop up? Oh, you wouldn't be able to see the pop up anyway. If either of these things are true, just return false, right? So if, you're never dot equal to null, and if the classes are different, return false. This is where that dialogue you couldn't see about subclasses was important, because suppose you have like a point class that has an x and a y coordinate, and you create a point 3D that's a subclass of it, and you add a new instance variable for a z coordinate. So now, if you have a point 2, like an initial point, a point 2D, it can point to an instance of point 3D. But now what does it mean when you compare them? Like if you have a reference of type point 2D, but it's actually pointing to something of type point 3D, and then you compare it to something that's a point 2D, do you just compare the two variables you know about, like the x and the y? Or do you say like, well, hey, one of these is actually a point 3D, so it has a z coordinate, and so that can't actually be equal to something that doesn't have a z coordinate? Like, how do you handle that? Do you just say, like, different classes are never equal, or do you want to deal with subclass relationships? Here we're just said, like, you know what, if they're not the same class, just heck with it, false. Then, at this point, we know we can do a downcast. We know they're the same class, and we know nothing's null. So now we're going to, like, take this parameter and downcast it in Ninja. Now we're going to say, okay, honor has to be the same. We'll just do equals on the instance variable, and we're saying this new method, objects.equals name and Ninja name. What does this do? How do I open this? What is it again? Go to the implementation. Oh, I see. Okay, so this objects class, which I've like literally never seen before. When did this come out? How have I never seen this before? Oh. No, this is in Java util. How long has this existed for? I don't know. Since 1.7. Oh, well, you know why? Because I stopped learning new things about Java after 1.5, so of course I don't know about this. 1.5 is where Java added generics. Yeah, so here's this equals method. So this is a static method for two objects for checking if they're equal. And basically what this does is it's got some shortcuts in here. So it checks if they're equal, or this is not null and a dot equals b. Okay, so this is a way of doing it. It's basically a way of like putting this shortcut in, and then also putting the null check in, so you don't have to put the null check. So this like encapsulates a null check and this quick shortcut. So that's basically what that's doing. That's actually kind of cool. That it's got this built-in method. And then this is just, we got to look at this for how it does hashing. Go to implementation. Yeah, oh, cool. Oh, wow. So this has just got arrays dot, interesting. Oh, yeah, okay. So a couple of things here for students, especially coming right out of 142. This ... This is a thing in Java. This basically means this method can take any number of parameters of type object, as many as you want. So you can have 1, you can have 2, you can have 3, and what this does is it turns this into an array of type object. And then this is basically doing the same thing. This is calling this on, this is a Hashcode method that takes an array. So this is just like an extra level of indirection. Let's look at this. Can we not look at this? How do I do paste, blah, 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 open, go to... This is weird. The only one I want to use, go to implementation, doesn't actually have a shortcut. Huh. Well, not going to lie. Eclipse is better about that. Yeah, so what this is doing, yeah, this is basically... Yeah, so we've got this array of objects. So, like, okay, if the array is null, return 0. You know, what is the hash code of null? I don't know, let's just say that's 0. Otherwise, we're setting result to 1. Now we're iterating through each of these with a for each loop, and we're saying result equal 31, which is a prime number, times whatever the previous result was. Initially it's 1, plus, and then for each element, if it's null, make it 0. This question colon is like, it's basically like a quick, bizarre way to do if-then that goes back to C. So if this is true, you get the question value, and if this is false, you get the colon value. Otherwise, it just calls its hash code. So what it's doing is it's basically picking a prime number and multiplying it by, multiplying it by the previous result, and then adding whatever that hash code is, and then it's just doing this iteratively. And so why does this work? I actually don't know, because I'm not a number theorist, but mathematicians have done some work to figure out, like, yeah, doing this generates pretty good hash codes that tend not to have too many collisions. Is it guaranteed to not have collisions? No, but, it tends to work pretty well. So anyway, all of this is just a way of saying, like, if you ever have a class and you need to generate hash code in equals, don't do it yourself. Tell your IDE to do it, and it'll do a pretty good job of it, and then you won't get it wrong. And I try to not say, like, hey, just do this magical thing and not understand it, which is why I wanted to, like, go through why it's important to understand this. But now that you understand this, don't try to do it yourself. The IDE is going to do a better job of it than you are, because the IDE can't make a mistake. It has a template for how it's going to do it. There's probably some, like, small number of instances where you need to do it yourself for some reason that it's complicated or something like that. I'm not going to say you should never do it yourself, but, like, if you can't think of a good reason not to just use what the IDE can do, just use what the IDE can do. But again, it's important to understand why it's necessary for the IDE to do this for you. So anyway, now that this is here, watch this if we rerun this. Yeah, so now we're getting false, false, which makes sense, but this one's now true because we have an equals method, and yeah, and now the hash codes of these, you can see, are the same. Even though these are physically different instances, now they have exactly the same hash code, which means if we put them in a set, there's only going to be one element in the set, whereas if we didn't have that hash code method, there'd be two elements in the set, because Java wouldn't know that they're supposed to be the same instance because they have different hash codes, and Java always assumes different hash codes means different instances. Same hash code might mean different instances, it might not. It could be a collision. We have to use the equals method. Great. I'm just really crushing this tonight, aren't I? Don't answer that, chat. I don't want to know. Still 6 viewers. I cannot drive people away no matter what I do. Okay. Good. So what else do we have? That was Ninja. Okay, so this brings us back to the challenge at hand. I'm going to go ahead and start closing these. Like, this can go, and this can go, and this can go. Yeah, the problem at hand is I think I did kind of a dumb, not dumb, but I did a thing here where I kind of conflated a couple of things. So we've got this idea of a traveler where we had, like, name and country of origin, and then we also had their suitcases. So that's fine for a traveler, but customs cares about those in different ways. So, for example, if we look at, and I think we're going to stick with customs 2 here, the object-oriented one, checking if somebody has a visa, we don't want to check the suitcases. Like, asking the traveler if the traveler has a visa implies, like, the traveler has, like, we must ask the level of abstraction that knows about suitcases if you have a visa. But, like, customs doesn't actually care about the visa. So, and it's unclear that this really should be customs. This is really the State Department deciding if you have a visa or not. So here's what I'm going to do. What I actually want to do now, looking at this, is take Traveler and refactor it. I think that these two things need to be in their own separate class, which is inside Traveler, right? So instead of having these be instance variables directly in Traveler, I think we need to have some notion of a person's identity, like their passport identity, like their name, their nationality, and their passport number, say. And then the Traveler will have that thing, passport, and also a list of suitcases. Like, that's what a Traveler has with them. And so customs will ask the passport, like, hey, do you have a visa for this passport? and then customs will also say, hey, is there any contraband in these suitcases? Like, so I think that's how I'm going to do it. Is this the best way to do it? Again, I don't know. I literally just read this earlier today and was like, I'll pick number 10 because I liked it because I felt like it had enough complexity that it would be interesting to dig into. So let's do this. Let's say it's not really a passport. It's like a passport as tied to a person. It's not like the physical passport itself, or maybe it is the physical passport itself. Whatever. I'm just going to call it passport. And what I'm going to do is take this stuff and drop it just directly in here. And I'm also, so here's the thing, like name and nationality. Oh, you can't see when I point. Name and nationality is actually not sufficient. Two people with the same name and the same nationality can exist. They're like, there's not two Jamie Spackos from the U.S., but there could be, you know. There's a James Spacko, my cousin Jim, and then Jesse's. Oh my God, that's super funny. So, for some reason, our auto billing on Xfinity stopped working. So I got this email like, hey, you know, your account's delinquent. Like, we've had auto bill for Xfinity for our internet for like 10 years, and it's just without fail, we pay every month from our credit card because we get 1.5% cash back. So we like charge everything and just pay it off every month. So anyway, so the auto billing for some reason turned off, and I'm like, you know, now I log into Xfinity only when we get a new credit card and I need to put in the new credit card number. Like, I never have to log in. So I'm like, oh great, I got to log in and fix this. So I log in to Xfinity, or I go to log into Xfinity, and I can't remember my password, of course, and I don't have it written down in my hints. And I don't write the passwords down. I write down hints that let me figure out the password because, you know, somehow that seems more secure. So I'm like, okay, what's going on with this password? You know, I can't remember. So I go to reset it. What do you have to do to reset it? You have to enter your username. I'm like, oh, well, I'm probably Jay Spacko. And then it's like, oh, how do you want this? Do you want it, you know, email to, you know, it does like J ***** CCO at Gmail. And I'm like, oh, well, that's my email, jamie.spacko at Gmail. But, you know, they block some of it out. You know, or do you want it through text or a phone call? And I'm like, you know what? Just send it in an email. So it's not showing up in my email. And I'm like reloading, you know, checking my spam folder, checking my promotions. You know, I'm like, what the hell? Where is this? I'm like, God damn it. So I go back. And I'm like, okay, let's figure this out. Maybe I'll have them text me. So I go in and I go to the text option as I'm like, reset my password again. And the text option, it's like, oh, your phone number, which ends in you know, ****, 4 digits isn't my phone number. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, was that my old phone number? Well, no, I've had this cell phone since 2004. That's been the only phone number you can reach me at. And I'm like, have I ever had a landline? Like, why would I? We've never had a landline in Galesburg. I'm like, what is going on here? And then I'm like, oh, that's my cousin Jesse. That Jay Spacko was Jesse Spacko. So I just tried to reset his password. He must have Xfinity as well. So I probably should text him and be like, that email you got from Xfinity, like, that was me. I couldn't remember, like, you know, your Jay, because he got Jay Spacko at Gmail before I did. Because I would be Jay Spacko at Gmail, but one of my cousins got it before I did. So anyway, that's my life story. I don't know why I told you that. Also, it's not even clear who you is. I mean, I still have 5 viewers. People are really sticking this one out. This is fun. Okay, so anyway, what do we want? And I'm going to add a passport number. And then so I don't know what passport numbers look like, but I'm going to make it a string, not an int. The reason being, I can imagine that a passport number might need to have leading zeros, or that a passport number isn't really a number. It's like a sequence of letters and digits. Have you considered a password manager? You know, I have, but with the hiring market the way it is, you know, I just can't afford to bring on anyone new. Just kidding. You know, it looks like I'm going to hire a person to manage my passwords. Yeah, I've started using that in Chrome for the most part, but I haven't logged into Xfinity for like 3 years, so I hadn't figured it out. Also, certain things, yeah, I probably should just get my life together and get a password manager. Good times. Michelle says, boo. Wait, what part is it boo? Is it because I'm not using a password manager because I'm old, or that, you know, or not funny that I should hire a password manager? Was it a dad joke? I never really know. It's hard to say. I'll call it passport. I'll just call it number, because they say your passport number. The pun. Oh, we don't like the pun. Okay, yeah, you know, that's fair. So whenever Boo comes up, Hoyt is always like, Boo earns, because of that episode of The Simpsons where they're booing Mr. Burns. So they would yell, Boo earns, to make it seem like they're cheering for him, and he was like, cool. So whenever I see Boo, I'm always like, Boo earns. Okay, let's make a constructor. So public passport, and we'll do string, because this way we can have two, string name, country, nationality, and string number. And then we'll do this dot name equal name, this dot nationality, nationality equal nationality, this dot number equal number. It just occurs to me that I'm not doing a great job with this notion of a passport, because passports are issued by different countries and whatever else, but I'm running out of time here. I gotta go to bed at some point, so I'm gonna not stress about that. Now, okay, you won't be able to see this dialogue, but basically I'm gonna make a hash code in equals, but I'm not gonna check name and nationality at all. I'm only gonna check number. Well, yeah, I am, and the reason for that is let's just nope, I'm going to check nationality and number, because it's possible that, like, the U.S. has no control over what passport numbers Brazil issues, so it's possible that the U.S. could issue the same number as Brazil. So I'm going to check both of those. I'm gonna go with that, yeah, because we wouldn't want countries that both have So can you not see this menu at all? Like, the menu I've popped up right now, is this not showing up, or is it just when a window pops up? I'm not really sure. So, like, I'm like scrolling all around and stuff. Is that not even showing up? Generate. So maybe this isn't showing up. I'm not sure. Equals and hashcode. So this is the part you probably can't see. We can't see the menu at all. Son of a biscuit. Son of a biscuit. Well, I'm going to need to figure out... I might need to just do the whole screen and not, like, switch to my email when I'm streaming. Sorry about that, team. Okay, well, watch this. I'm going to not leave out name, and I'm just going to do country and number and go. Boom. Okay, check this out. Shazam. Because you can see this part. So now, our equals method, we got the regular stuff here, but now we're doing the downcast. We're only comparing the nationality, and the number. We're not comparing name at all, right? So you could have two people with the same name, but they're going to have different nationality and different passport number. And you might have the same passport number, but they would have to be different nationalities. And so the menu you couldn't see at all. Like, basically it gives you the option to say, like, okay, for your hashcode method and your equals method, which fields count, right? So what we're saying here is that, like, the identity is just based on the nationality and the passport number. The name doesn't really matter. And also people change their names. If you change your name, you still have the same passport number. Like, that doesn't change. And then down here, you can see the same thing for the hash code. When we produce a hash code, it's just based on nationality and number. It's not based on the name, because name, you can change your name. You can legally change your name, but you can't change your passport number, and you can change your nationality, but let's just leave that out of this model and not mess with it. So now, for a traveler, what do we have? Whoops, we have a private passport. Boom. And so our constructor... what are we going to pass in? Passport, and we'll say this dot passport equal passport, and then that's fine. And then we have suitcases. So now we have a traveler, and we've encapsulated all of the stuff that has to do with passport in here. We also have suitcases, and then now we get back here to customs, So now when we grant a visa, we don't actually grant the visa to the traveler. Watch this. We're gonna edit this. We grant the visa to the passport. Right? Doesn't that make... I'll go ahead and write the whole thing out because it just autocompletes so the autocomplete here is legit better than the autocomplete for Eclipse. I'm not gonna lie. This is just really kind of understands. Yeah, it's like it knows what I'm about to type. Wow, it's like you know me, IntelliJ. Oh, now I've totally blown all this up. None of these work anymore. I probably should have saved versions. Oh, whatever. You know, people can just watch the video. It's like, go watch the game tape. Yeah, none of this works now. That's fine. Yeah, so now when we grant visas... Yeah, okay. So now we've got to do passport P1 equal new passport. And passport, we need the name. So Alicia is from country.usa, and her passport number is 00879er. I don't know. I just made that up. That's probably not her real number. Sorry, Alicia. Passport P2, new passport, good old Bob. I need to learn some actual names of people like from I mean, I know names of like specific students from Pakistan, but I need to learn better, like, you know, actually I should also do Nepal. Like, people, somebody's got to explain to me at some point the most common names from Nepal, because like such a large percentage of our CS, I think I probably have 5 advisees who are majoring in CS just from Nepal. I think I've had classes with like 6 or 7 people all from Nepal. At this point in my life, it is fair to say I've not known that many people from Nepal, probably 10, but every single one of them have been computer science majors. I've never met anyone from Nepal who's not majoring in computer science. Okay, Bob, your number is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And, right, so now, when we're creating travelers, P1, P2, cool. And so now with the customs, now traveler, we need a way to get, traveler, we need a getter method, essentially, to get the passport thing out. So we could say, like, you probably can't see this at all, but I'm going to do generate, and I'm going to do getter method, and for passport, Shazam. Look at that, it just dropped it right in there. I didn't have to type it. Because who wants to type? Typing takes time. Oh, we lost a viewer. Good, I did drive someone away. Yes. This is good, actually, that I have the chat open and this other thingamajig going on over here in the other laptop. How many laptops does it take for Spacko to stream? Apparently a lot. Okay, so we've got the passport for the traveler. So now, you know what, in this one we're not really using. We're using this one now, or we're trying to. We'll do t1.getPassport. Good, so now we would grant a no, what am I doing? That's stupid. We would grant it, like, to P1. But now, if we have a traveler... Well, let me set this up differently. You know what? Here's a question. Can I double cut lines and then yank them both? Oh, I can. That's nice. Okay, cool. So we would grant that, and now if we're telling customs to, you know, check if somebody has a visa, we would do, like, traveler1 dot get their passport. Good. Okay. And so one other thing, customs. Okay, another thought. We're not going to get into too much more detail here because, you know, some of us need to go to bed because, you know, the baby will be up at 6 or 7 and I need to feed her breakfast and listen to her morning podcasts. I'm going to pretend that she really likes D&D podcasts and that it's not me, but really it's me. Where did my description go? Yeah, so another thing that we're not going to mess with... Oh, you know what I'm going to do? Watch this. Can I refactor, rename? Come on now. Refactor, rename. I'm going to rename this to just customs. Okay. We're kind of mixing some notions together because Customs is checking luggage, but I think Border Patrol's actually checking. I mean, we kind of think of it as the same, but there's multiple phases when you go someplace. Like the branch of the government that checks your passport is different than the branch of the government that checks your luggage to make sure it doesn't have contraband. So those shouldn't necessarily be in the same thing. So this maybe shouldn't be customs. This should be, what agency grants visas? And I mean, I'm going to put it all in one class because I'm tired. But really, we should have different classes. We would have one from whatever agency or arm or branch of the government checks passports. And then we should have one for whoever's checking luggage for contraband. Those are probably different, right? Those are probably going to be different. And so, now screw it. I'll just make but I don't know what to name them. They're not like Border Patrol. Or, customs, I assume, is checks your luggage. I don't know. This sounds more like Border Patrol. And customs sounds like luggage. I have no idea. You can tell I don't really travel enough. I'm still going to make them separate classes. Okay, well, let's do this. Refactor. Rename. We're going to call them Border Patrol. Ah, crap. Oh, shite. Customs. Okay. Refactor, rename. I can't hit Control D. That doesn't do anything on here anymore. Son of a biscuit. Okay. Refactor, rename. Oh, good. This is what I wanted. And I want to call this Border Patrol. Maybe. I don't know. What? Fine. Rename everything. Yes, good. So we've renamed that. Good. Oh, we don't want to name it. Oh, son of a biscuit. Refactor, rename. I'll just call it BP. In the U.S., the department is called Customs and Border Patrol, as far as I know. Right? That makes sense. It's the same department, but it's separate sub-departments or something? I'm not sure. I'm going to split it up into separate classes just because that's the way I want to roll. I'm going to do customs. So customs is responsible for luggage, and Border Patrol is responsible for... so we'll do... what are they going to do? So we'll do... Basically, they're going to have a method public... Boolean check suitcase, which is going to look at a suitcase, and it's going to return, suitcase dot contains contraband. Now, this is a really simple way of sort of looking at this. You know what? I just changed my mind. I will go ahead and put it all in the same class. I will, yeah. Delete. How do I delete? Holy moly. Delete. It's way the hell down here. Well, go ahead. You're done. Good. Okay, Border Patrol. I'm going to rename this. Rename. Customs. Yeah, there we go. Customs and Border Patrol. So this is the part of it dealing with passports. We're also going to do public Boolean has, criminal issue. I'm going to go back to reopen description. There we go. So we decided you have to have a valid visa and either have a clean background or have committed a minor crime that has already been explained. So we're going to call this, does the background check come back true or false? We're going to say clean, we're going to call it has clean background. And again, I'm going to tie that to the passport, not to the luggage. Now, here's what's interesting. From the perspective of the person calling the method, who cares how it computes this? But we actually know what we're doing is we're checking, like, either they're not in the set of people who have a criminal complaint, or if they are, it's been explained. So here's how we're going to, let me go back to this view. Here's how we're going to do this. So we're going to have something like, let's think. This is ultimately gonna, okay, so I'll put a thing here. So two ways to return true. One would be no criminal history. The other way would be criminal history is minor and or explained. So, right, and we would have to check that. And we would assume that, you could have a criminal complaint in a bunch of different states. They would have to report it up to the federal government and things like that. So here's how this would probably work. It would be something like, let me think. Now this is interesting. We need a way of associating like a person's passport identity, so like country of origin, passport number, whatever. We need a way of associating that with potential criminal issues. So what would that look like? We could map passport as the key, and the value could be a list of okay. God, I wish I had more time. This is like amazing that this is still going. I'm losing viewers though. I need to wrap this up. People have to go to bed. Who even knows? Okay. Wow, this is very exciting, very dense. So, okay, here's what we can do. We can do criminal history, minor and or explained. So the way I'm thinking of doing this is new Java class, which I will call criminal history. I'll just call it history. And what is this going to be? Well, this is going to have a private list of criminal event, criminal record, list of criminal records, and I'll call this list equal new linked list. Great. Now I need to make a criminal record, new Java class, criminal record, boom. And this is going to be, and right now all we want to know is private bool. Well, we want to know what type it is. Is it a felony or a misdemeanor, or is it explained? We're going to abstract away. Private Boolean is explained. Right, because that's what the description... Where does the description keep going? Yeah, here's the description. That's what it says. Either have a clean background or have committed a minor crime that has already been explained. So we're going to say, if we return true, that means the crime is both minor and explained. And if we return false, either the crime is minor and unexplained, or it was a major crime. It was like bank robbery or something like that. So we could say public criminal record Boolean, and this is not really what this would look like. This is an abstraction. Return is explained. What the hell's wrong with me? I must be tired. Because this isn't really what this would look like. This would be like you would enter a record and this, that, and the other thing, and who knows. So this history here, new linked list, and we would do, public void add criminal record, and we would do list.add new, not new, we have to, it's literally there. Oh, this never got imported. You son of a turd. Ha! Got it. Okay, good. And now that's going to go here. So watch this. private map, and we're going to map from passport to history. And we'll say equal new, I'll make it a hash map. Okay, good. This is I give it a name. History. So this is like our list of, criminal history here. And so what this is telling us is, and this is a little sloppy because, yeah, okay, so what would we do? We would do public void add criminal record, which would criminal record. Now what this is going to do is just going to delegate down to history. Does history not have a... What in the shit? Does history not have this method? Sure it does. Oh, what history? Duh. This doesn't make any sense. It's for a particular passport. Okay, so watch this. If it's not the case that history dot contains key passport, then we're going to say history dot put passport as the key and new history as the value. Now we know it's in there, so we can say history dot get passport. So we know that's a history, and now we can add the criminal record of the record. Good. And so you're probably looking at this and being like, Spacko, why did you write a class for this? Why don't you just make this itself the list of, criminal histories? Like, what? In other words, why is this history and not itself just list of, like, why doesn't it just look like this? And so I'll tell you why. Why did I do that? Well, there might be other stuff about somebody's criminal history we need to know other than the list of things. We might want to know, what case officers reviewed the file. Has it been checked over by a judge? There might be other context about somebody's history other than just a strict list of the records. So by making this a class that really just encapsulates the list, we give a place to add more information if our problem expands. If it doesn't, then, what's the worst thing we did? Well, we just created a class that's only purpose is to wrap another list of things. But it gives us object-oriented flexibility that we wouldn't have if we just did a list of things here and we were like, oh, we need to know stuff about that list of criminal records. Has it been reviewed by a judge or something along those lines? Or, has that particular history been flagged by, I don't know, a terrorist watch list or something along those lines. We couldn't do that if this looked like this, if this were a list of criminal record, right? We wouldn't have anywhere to put that information. And actually, the more I look at this, the more I think probably the map here is a little bit sloppy, but whatever, I'm just going to stick with it. So we can add a criminal record. Now what do we do? Well, a clean background check would be return that our either it's not the case that our history dot contains key passport. That'd be one possibility. Or history dot get passport dot... Oh, well, now what I want to ask the history. Oh, yeah, I want to ask if all of these things have been explained. Oh, good. Public Boolean... I don't know what I want to... All okay? All explained? And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say for criminal record C in list, if it's not the case that C dot is... Wait a minute. Whoops. Can't I ask this, is it explained? Oh, no, I can't. Public Boolean is explained. return is explained. Great, now I can do this. Right, if it's explained, if it's not explained, return false. Otherwise, here I can return. What is this? What are you doing? Oh, great. Oh, and just because I'm obsessive, I'm gonna, yeah, there we go. Cool. So this just checks that everything's explained in one of these histories. So now over here, yeah. So either we don't have a key, and if we don't have a key, we'll just return true. So if this is false, we don't have a key, that means we don't have a criminal history, just immediately return true. Or what's cool about this is this short circuit. So if this already means we return true, we don't even evaluate this. So we're never going to get some sort of null pointer issue for like, or some exception or whatever it is for trying to get a passport that doesn't exist and calling a method on it. That's never going to happen the way this is laid out. So has clean background. That seems legit. Okay, good. Now we need to figure out for Customs and Border Patrol, do we let somebody into the country? Okay. Oh, and now here's an interesting point. These can be private because these aren't going to be called. Well, this needs to be public. Has a visa. These can all be private. This probably needs to be public. Yeah. Okay. So watch this. Because really what we would want to know, public Boolean allow entry, which we do on a traveler. Okay, now we go back to our description. So foreign nationals need a visa, and they have to have either a clean background or have committed a minor crime that has been explained. And you can't have unknown substances. Have we done unknown substances yet? Do we have a check? Have we checked? Are we checking luggage yet? We're not checking luggage yet. That's easy, though. This is also private. Private Boolean check luggage. This we take a traveler, T, traveler. Okay, and here again we're going to do for... Oh, we need to get the suitcases. Oh, watch this. This is going to be cool. Okay, I want to be able to iterate through all the suitcases. This is weird, but I'm going to do it anyway just because it's cool. You probably wouldn't really do it this way. I'm going to say that this implements iterable, and I'm going to say it iterable of suitcase. This is so bizarre. This is not really what you should do. Probably don't ever do this. Public, what am I returning? Iterator of type suitcase, iterator, return bags.iterator. And this I need to import. Import iterator. Good. So what I'm doing here, I'm saying that this implements this iterable interface with the generic type suitcase. I'm basically saying that I can do a for each loop over a traveler and it'll go through each of their suitcases. And then how am I doing that? Well, I know since this is a linked list, I can get an iterator. And since this is iterable, it needs an iterator. I'm just delegating that call downward. This is sloppy, but I'm also tired. So I'm going to say for suitcase S in traveler. Ha, look at that. See, you can iterate right over that. If S dot contain, so if it contains contraband, return false. Else if we check all the luggage, it doesn't return contraband, return true. Okay, so now we want to allow entry. What's the first thing we need to do? Well, I need to be able to get the traveler's passport. I have a get passport method. Huh, look at me. Okay, let's just get the passport. Passport equal traveler.getPassport. Wow, 3 people have really stuck it out watching. This is fantastic. Okay, so now we're going to say if passport dot I need to be able to get the country. Well, since this is U.S. Customs, Let's see. Public country get nationality, and that will just return this dot nationality. Done. Good. So now if passport dot get nationality equal, well, let's do this. If it's let's do it this way. I'm going to say if it's not country.us and has visa and it has visas false, let me return false. Right, so if it's not US and it doesn't have a visa, return false. We're not going to let anybody in. This is a little weird, though. So if it's US, if it's not a US passport, I don't know, whatever. I'm too tired to finish this. I'll just finish it, but then I'll have to test it later. Allow entry. I could also say, so at this point we know that either it's US or it's not US and it has a visa. And the US might have a visa, but we don't really care. Okay, we'll go with that. If it's not the case that the has clean background check for that passport, I'm also going to return false. So I'm basically checking all the reasons not to grant entry. Otherwise, if now here I just check the traveler. Well, what's my method called? Check luggage. Check luggage of traveler. I also return false. Here's something sloppy about the way I've done this API. This check luggage method is confusing. This really, I'm going to rename it. Refactor, rename. What I'm really doing here is check, son of a bitch. I'm really checking contraband. I'm really not checking contraband. I'm really saying, does it have contraband? So, if traveler, if traveler dot has, no, it's not of traveler, it's has contraband for traveler, then I return false. Great. Otherwise, so if none of these reasons return false, so either it was US or not US and had a visa, then I didn't return false. This means that there's a clean background on the clean background on the passport. That's a little confusing because what would happen, because US citizens could have a criminal record, but that doesn't bar them from coming back into the US. So I might need to say if passport.getNationality is not country.USA, and because you could be a US citizen but be like a terrible criminal, you can still come back into the country, apparently. In fact, you probably have to be prosecuted. Otherwise, I guess we return true. So something along those lines. So what did we learn here? Well, I don't know. We've broken things down into a bunch of different pieces. And what do I like about this? There's things I really like here. I like the way we took Traveler and factored out the notion of like the passport from the suitcases. I think that's really cool. This, I just wanted to show off how to make something iterable. If you know something like encapsulates a collection, you can make that thing iterable. You probably don't really want Travelers to be like iterable suitcases, but whatever. I like how we learned about Hashcode and equal in here. I thought that was fun. This history and criminal record, this I think is a really important point, even though the primary purpose of this history is to encapsulate this list. By making this a class rather than just, like we said before, sticking this in here is like list of criminal record, it gives us more places to add complexity to this class if we need to. That's going to be a big plus. And then we kind of broke this down into pieces here, and we were able to make these private because Customs and Border Patrol doesn't directly ask has passport. It goes down here. It's like, okay, should I allow this traveler entry? Well, I need to check some things. I need to check this. I need to check this. I need to check this. Sort of these conditions, and some of these have methods, but these methods are private because we're not going to ask just one of these things. We're actually going to check all of them. Maybe that's not the right way to kind of like abstract away customs. I haven't traveled outside the country in a few years, so I don't really remember. I don't really have any idea how the U.S. government implements these things, but just something to think about. Now, the mains, I would need to futz around with these mains more to come up with like a whole example to test this. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to like stop because it's getting late, and for some reason only two people are left watching. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off at this point. That was impressive. I do 2 hours. I never shut up. Spacko never shuts up. I guess I was built for Twitch. I don't know. Maybe this is like my calling. Probably not though. Probably a niche audience. People that want to watch people live code. Although I think there probably is an audience. I think there is an audience for things that are aimed at undergraduates that relate to computing. Because everything online is for experts or is designed to make the person doing it look smart. There's nothing about this designed to make me look smart. No, like Google's not going to watch this and be like, oh, Jesus, look at Spacko's Twitch stream. We got to hire him right away. They're going to be like, this guy's an idiot and his design skills are horrible and we should never hire. Like, I'm probably like decreasing my value as a software developer by doing this. But again, my purpose is to try to explain thought process to students so that you can all go off and be software developers. That's literally my job. So, so to the extent that I can do that, I'm happy to do that. And I don't know that people do this. They don't explain things for undergrads enough. Like I don't know. Anyway, that's been my complaint. Maybe although there's a lot of good YouTube channels these days. Maybe some people do. Anyway, I gotta sign off. It's like late and I gotta go to bed and all that other stuff. Anyway, great to see you all. I'm gonna stop streaming and then download this video and upload it to the YouTube. And I'll put the code up somewhere. Alright. Take care, all.